Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Field Notes, the Infrastructure Podcast. I'm your host, Abby Crawford. And on today's episode, it is all about the people and the strategy behind building modern broadband infrastructure. And I am so excited to be joined by Steve Smith, the founder and chief revenue officer at LiveOak Fiber. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great, Abby. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm excited about it.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite things to talk about Live Oak and be on a podcast.
Awesome. Perfect match.
Absolutely.
So let's kick things off. I
Okay.
would love to start with all about Steve. I want to know your background, and just ultimately what led you to LiveOak Fiber.
Well, I started in telecom in '97, so I'm definitely dating myself. The big company here in town was a company called Quest, which was
Okay.
QWEST. And I got on very early in the wholesale group at Quest and did not know really anything about telecommunications. I was just newly married. I was getting laid off from another job. So you know how this goes. I'm like, well, I need a job. I got to work. So anyway, I ended up at Quest, but I was blessed in that the group of people I ended up at was the wholesale group.
Okay.
So in telecom, you have people that sell to consumers, and you have the business group. And I was lucky to get in with the carrier group and that's how I learned about the business. I
Okay.
worked at Quest for many, many years. I ended up running carrier for them out in New England. And I'm proud to say that the Boston market outperformed the New York market. That was a big deal. If you're ever, familiar with the Boston, New York rivalry. So we had a lot of fun with that, but that's how I got in the business. I have been with a variety of different companies. I've had my own prior to Live Oak.
Okay.
My partner and I at the time had a consulting company, and we primarily focused on carriers
Mm-hmm.
and fiber investments. A lot of our customers have built or are some of the largest fiber to the home organizations in the United States. So these were some of the companies that we consulted, primarily in the Southeast region. That was our kind of stomping ground. We had a
Okay.
lot of rural companies that we worked with, and we also had some large ones. So we worked with, at the time, I think we were doing some work for Sprint, and we took them through the merger with T-Mobile on the wireline side. But
Okay.
through all of this, we did a lot of work also with private equity,
Mm-hmm.
who at the time was making investments in, I guess I would call it kind of the early like super cycle of fiber to the home building around the country. A lot of different platforms that were uh, coming up. A lot of people were building from like existing companies, and then they're like, we're gonna build fiber.
Okay.
So they already had things. Our financial sponsor was Infrared Capital, and we met them and agreed to build a business plan to start Greenfield. So I believe we're the largest Greenfield fiber project in the world. And we did start from a standing stop. We did everything from pick the coffee cups to find the office to the logo, the whole 9 yards. We
Yeah.
did all that. And we officially launched in July of 22. So it's
Okay.
coming up on 4 years. We didn't really start construction until January, but we had customers on the network in January. We were digging and building. So there was four of us in the summer of 22. There was
Okay.
about 20 people by October, and we were building and turning on customers in January.
Wow.
Today, we have about 175 employees. We are consistently a great place to work certified company. All these are great jobs that we've created in these local areas, which is a key part of what we do. It's not just the
Yeah.
intranet, it's like the connection with the community.
Yeah.
And we have about 42,000 customers. And
Wow.
that's and we'll break over 50,000, this year. So we've built about 200,000, 200, depend on how you count them. We're probably in the 200 to 215,000 passings, and we'll build more than that. We're predominantly building in I would call it Northwest Florida,
Okay.
between Navarre, which is just east of Pensacola
Okay.
in the Panhandle, those counties, which is Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, Walton, and Bay County. So basically from Navarre to Panama City Beach and then up to Crestview. And then
Okay.
over in Georgia, we're in Glenn County. So from the state line, there's Camden
Mhm.
County. We have fiber in Camden County. We have built out all of Glenn County. And then we're also outside of Savannah in Tybee Island, but also kind of
Yeah.
the suburbs around Savannah is our other
Okay.
area that we're building today.
Wow. So you have just the last 25, just over 25 years in this industry, and you have grown an outstanding company. That's amazing. So congratulations. I would love to
Thanks.
know what the vision behind Live Oak Fiber was. Did you ever imagine it getting this big?
Yes, actually we did.
That's
And I
awesome.
would say that I'm proud of what we've done. I say we, that's a lot of people had a lot of input and effort into this.
Yeah.
The vision was to become a we were focused on a region. We are children of the South.
Yeah.
Uh, and the South's great for a lot of reasons, but we also felt like these areas really desperately needed this infrastructure. I was actually
Yes.
shocked that some of them hadn't, we picked places to build for our clients for, 7, 8 years. And
Yeah.
I was just shocked that these counties didn't have it because they're great places. Like I would pay to go there.
Right.
They're very nice. But the vision was that we were going to develop this regional startup company, ISP. We were going to be a regional provider to start and grow this thing to, probably, 300, 400,000 passings and probably somewhere in the 70, 80,000 customer range, somewhere in there. And we were going to create long-term jobs for employees. We were going to
Mm.
be fiercely local. And we don't have a mission statement at Live Oak. We have a why. If you're familiar with Simon Sinek, he said you got to create your why. And our why is to improve the lives of the communities that we serve through technology.
Yeah.
And all of our employees know that. So everything we do, we think, are we improving the quality of life here? Are we offering a really good service? Is it easy to understand?
Yeah.
Is it reliable? Does it do everything the customer's wanting it to do? Are we enabling them for other things that maybe they didn't know about? One of the
Right.
things when you do this with new communities, if you've never had the speed or reliability of internet, it's kind of hard to say, well, why do I need it? I've gotten along so far without it.
Right.
But it's America, it's 2026. People move around a lot. So you got a lot of people that have like, I know what that looks like and I want that.
Yeah.
So I want to have that connect. I want to work remote. I think, some of these large companies, return to work's never going to be the same. Working from
No,
home is normal, or
it
hybrid is
is.
definitely totally normal. So
Yeah.
now it's like, where do I want to live? And these areas do have a lot of growing population, but now it also creates another economic driver. People
Right.
can people want to live there. They like the quality of life. And I think that was a pandemic thing, right? People were like, well, do I have to live here? I could, as long as I have broadband. I
Yeah.
can't go into the office, so where should we live, right? So
Right.
that was the vision for Live Oak, is to develop a fiercely local company, and I believe we're well on our way for that. We're not done. We got a lot left to do, but I think it's a pretty good start for a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Definitely. I mean, I think that that ties me directly into a bigger conversation that's happening across the industry right now. And I would love to hear from your perspective what's driving the demand for fiber infrastructure. And I know you answered that a little bit, that we're all working remote or hybrid. But especially in those underserved markets. I mean, what is the demand? What are you seeing? What is the driving force right now?
There's a couple different drivers for the consumer. There's I would call it the visual era, and I
Mm-hmm.
did write a paper a long time, probably about, I guess it was about 8 years ago. I wrote a paper about what's driving the internet, and one of the things is visual content. So if you think about pre-pandemic, most people didn't know what Microsoft Teams was. We're on Teams today,
Yeah. Yeah.
and most people just did phone calls,
Right.
conference calls. Now we're doing video calls. So now it's not so much how much you're pulling down; it's you're sending your signal, up. So it's upstream as
Right.
well as downstream. I think that visual, all the video that's consumed, literally, I think that's like 80% of the internet traffic, and online learning or online classes. Anyway, the teleconferencing component is huge. So that's a main driver. A lot of the small businesses really, there's a lot of studies around this, but connected small businesses grew 20% faster and more in size and in speed than non-connected businesses. And that's just using the federal like minimum standard, which is, kind of a joke. So like 100 meg, and they grew, if they at least had 100 meg, they were more successful than others. So what does that mean? Well, I think they have access to cloud-based tools.
Mm-hmm.
The cloud, if you start a business today, it's super easy. If you have a good connection, all of the things that run your business are sit in the cloud. So you just need a login, right? It works on your phone, works on your laptop. Their point of sale machines is a huge, when we went to that chip, that's a big deal in some of those rural areas. If you don't have good connectivity, that's everything from the gas station to the grocery store.
Right.
And then, just kind of driving general economic development. I mean, a lot of companies now, AI, I hate to use AI, but there's data centers. There's a lot of companies that are using power. So the main driver where they're going to set up is the power. Is the power grid cheap? That's some formula that they're using.
Yeah.
And can I get access to connectivity? Can I connect into, I'm going to use this term, the digital flyway. So all these data centers sit in like a fabric of connectivity. And if you're not a duck hunter, I'm going to go out on a limb, Abby, but ducks fly, birds fly in like a pattern. Okay. So if you're going to duck hunt or goose hunt, you want to be in the flyway. That's where all the traffic is. That's where the data centers are. So the data centers, and between the data centers, that's where all the, the connectivity is. And that drives growth in these communities. If you say, I can bring in a company that's going to create 50 jobs, well, in a county of 50,000 people, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal.
For sure.
So this is it's a catalyst for a lot of things, but it's definitely an economic development catalyst. So
absolutely. And I mean, acknowledging and identifying the demand is one thing, but actually delivering on it is a whole different challenge. So I would love to hear, what does it really take to build and to scale a modern fiber network today?
I hope Phil Goose is listening. It takes money and a lot of money.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot of capital if you want to do it right. So there are, just like anything else, it's good, fast, or cheap. You can build networks today. You can build them on poles. You can have them as aerial fiber. You can take the little thin fiber and you can, trench 6 inches down and drop it in.
Yeah.
Or you can build real infrastructure. That's what we do. It takes longer. It's a little bit messier in the beginning, but it's in conduit. And we knew that the places we were going to build in had difficult weather conditions, and it's coastal climate. We have had 6 named storms pass over between the two areas. Those storms are, they're like 700-800 miles wide, right? So you might not get the eye of the storm, but you might get tornadoes for 2 days afterwards and different things like that. So getting the real infrastructure in and building it right, for us, that's been the key. That's where you drive, reliability. That's where you drive customer satisfaction. That's the product that the customer's buying, the experience.
Right.
And they may not always know the speeds. Most people just say, oh, well, it's the Wi-Fi, it's the internet, but it's the reliability that it's going to be on. It's going to be on even if there is a storm.
Yeah.
It was a couple years ago. It was Hurricane Helene hit. I don't know if you remember Helene, but she came in and hit kind of the Georgia coast a little bit, and then she went up to Atlanta, and then she took a hard left into Kentucky. Anyway, 80% of the people were without power in Glenn County, Georgia, and the Bulldogs were playing Alabama that night. And if you had LiveOak Fiber and you had power at your house, you were watching a game. And there were watch parties that night. They're like, hey, we're watching the Dogs. And I don't know where your SEC affiliation is, but it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like a game of the season, and they're watching it, and that just speaks to, yes, it's a football game. Yes, it's neighbors getting together, during a hurricane, but it's connectivity, and that was
Right.
not possible for them prior
Right.
to us getting there. So yeah, so it works. It works as advertised. It takes a little bit longer. It costs a little bit more, but once that conduit's in and the glass is there, then you're really just limited to the equipment that you put in the customer prem or in the network because you're using light. So at that point, it's impervious to weather. You don't have active electronics in the
Hmm.
field. We have nodes that have all sorts of telemetry on them. So we have nodes that and they have a pad around it, but they also have cameras and they're tracked into weather and where everything is like redundant. And that is so that we can sleep at night. I have gray hair, but at least I have hair. And I feel like if we did it a different way, it might be might be a different story. Because I think telecommunications historically, some of the incumbents, they're getting everything they can out of their network, but it's not living up to, it's not even doing the bare minimum,
Yeah.
and people have expectations on the service. It's utility. I'm not trying to be cliche, but it really is.
Yeah.
You
It's
probably
essential. Yeah.
bank online, you're working online, you're probably going to taking some classes online, and then you're watching, from 6 to 9 p.m. Someone in your house is watching video.
Yep.
So
For sure.
there you go.
And I imagine that for all of it requires a strong team behind a strong infrastructure. And you've led across sales, marketing, product operations. I would love to know what you've learned about building high performing teams in this industry specifically.
So I would say I think everybody has a different opinion on this. I take a long view of people. I think it's all about the people.
Yeah,
The,
I
the
agree
the
with that.
service, the what we have at Live Oak that I would tell people is different from if you talk to Mason or Nick or Forrest, these are our construction guys, they know if you think about an assembly line, everyone from that first group that does the permitting to all the way when a tech installs a customer, they know that we are making a world-class internet experience.
Hmm.
They're not just doing construction. They know that there's an assembly line, and at the end of it, the customer's like, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
This is why we have all the 5-star reviews. This is why we have a high NPS score, because we have people that understand that process. Sometimes at larger companies, people get very siloed, and the handoff between these groups can be weird. So if you
yeah,
think about like a car analogy, it's literally like a car, like your job is put the door handle on the door. If the door doesn't show up, you're like, whatever, I'm just responsible for the handle. They drop it on the assembly line. Like we do not do that. We
right,
cannot do that.
right.
So that's key. I have picked people at the beginning. We do have telecommunications people for skilled jobs, and a lot of them moved to the area. But
Hmm.
for a lot of the customer facing jobs, we picked people that were customer had customer experience in their DNA.
Yeah,
So they were really liked dealing with customer problems. Or they were committed to the mission for the community. So Corey Faith, who runs our customer service team, he supported IT for the Rangers. He was a fireman. He was doing IT for Fort Walton Beach, the city of Fort Walton Beach. Now he's doing all of our IT and customer service, but he loves the area. He's committed to the mission. Katie Robeson actually found Katie and I live in Denver, and Katie was living here, but was born in Fort Walton Beach.
okay.
She was doing sales for Louis Vuitton here in Denver.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, you should talk to her. She's got a lot of drip. She's well accessorized, but she's flying to like Aspen to sell, a
Yeah,
$250,000 handbag.
yeah.
But she's born on Eglin Air Force Base. Her parents live down there. They're both colonels. She's like, I'd like to go back to Fort Walton Beach. I'd like to be a part of this for my community. I'd like to learn. So there's someone you talk to someone, she's worked at Lululemon. That's another good one.
Another one,
These are
yeah.
brands that, like my girls will knock people out of the way to get into a Lululemon store or a Louis Vuitton store, right?
I'm the
But that's
same.
the brand, like when the mindset for Katie and her teams is the brand is important. It
Yes.
means something. And if one customer's mad, you better assume that more are upset. So we need
Right.
to solve it. So you have this kind of brand forward, customer experience forward group of people. Sometimes you don't get that if you hire people all from the industry because they're kind of like,
Right.
kind of burned out. The other thing you get if you get non-telecom people is you get your own working group of how they see the product. And this is key because in the beginning, they're like, we don't know how to sell this. I'm like, well, actually, you do. How would you buy it? How
Yeah.
would you think about buying it? I would want to buy it this way. I'm like, well, that's how we're going to sell it. Your
Right.
words, not mine. If I get involved, I'm going to have a bunch of acronyms. I'm going to make it too technical, probably tell a bunch of stupid stories that people don't want to hear, but they get it and hurt. And those like Corey and Katie and their teams are trained that way. If you ask all those
Yeah.
people, they weren't in telecom before, but they love it now. And lastly, somewhat selfishly, and I think Shane and the senior team that I work with would agree, is there's a lot of bad habits in any industry, but we've been able to teach people, what we think is the important part about communications or customer experience and how the network should run. Like a really
Yeah.
well-run organization. I think they're going to be spoiled later on in life, but I think that's the long tail of all this. So I think it's the people.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that everyone has their own style of leadership, but I completely agree that that leadership perspective is so important because the people are the forefront of the buying and the selling. And especially in this industry that's growing and evolving this quickly, making sure you're keeping the people in mind, I think is so important. And I that kind of brings me into our next topic. Um, just looking ahead, where do you feel that where do you see fiber deployment going over the next few years? And for those listening who are actively in this space, um, that future can feel exciting and complex. Where do you see it going? How do you feel about it?
There's still, I mentioned, I use the term super cycle, super cycle like a build cycle. I think we're in the early, we're probably halfway through that build cycle
Hmm.
where I think every year platforms like us, it's probably 120 to 150 billion dollar industry of
Yeah,
companies like ours.
yeah,
I don't think that's going to stop. I feel like there is a little bit of a land grab going after areas that are underserved and how you
yeah.
pick markets. I think that we're all kind of right now, today, we're all competing for what I would call greenfield space.
Mm.
Harder and harder to get that. So the next phase of that is probably brownfield, meaning there's probably some fiber there,
Yeah,
or it's a competitive market. But I don't see it differently. I still think customer experience will win out.
yeah,
And I think being a fiercely local company makes a difference.
definitely.
Uh, I I think it will be more and more competitive. I think the consumer will benefit from that in some of these areas. There'll
Yeah,
be a consolidation. It's kind of already started. The big guys are they're trying to buy. There's like mobile guys trying to buy fiber, and
yeah,
it's kind of comical to me. Like everybody's okay with their cell phone, like if your call drops, right? How
right.
many times does that happen to you every week? Couple, right?
Yeah,
Oh, there's something wrong, but you call back. You don't call Verizon and say, "Hey, you dropped me on my head." But there's like a lesser quality, like people are okay with the mobile,
yeah.
and it's
It's
not
true.
that way
I've
with
never
fiber.
thought about it like that, but it's so true.
Yeah, they just like, oh, they've never delivered on the promise of, and I think there's a total place for them. I just think there's going to be a confluence of these different technologies. You can kind of see it where, like the cable companies, for example, have made a
Hmm.
lot of money on content. They
Yeah,
own, content providers. Now they're literally their premium product is something that doesn't even, it's not even like on their network. Well, we're gonna do mobile. It's a cable
right,
company. Okay. Like, what about all that infrastructure you put in the ground? Like, how
right.
are you going to make that work? So, how does that all converge? I think those will be the problems that we'll have to solve in the next,
Yeah,
5 to 10 years. Um, it's going to get competitive out there for sure,
yeah.
for
And
sure.
and so with that, for other operators, investors, leaders in this space, what is one piece of advice or insight that you could share based on where things are going and experience that you've had?
That's a good question. I think you should, when we had Ronan was our consulting company. Our motto, our structure was plan, build, run. It's very
Okay.
simple. It's a way, I think it was originally a McKinsey concept, but it was an easy way for us to describe how we would help people. But you plan things to build them, and you build things to run them. And
Right.
you don't build things before you plan, and you don't run things before you build.
Right.
So I think that kind of thinking about what you want the end product to look like is key. I think that
Yes.
would be so for us, we get money from private equity, so we set the company up to be metric oriented. Now, look, we're not perfect, but my experience with private equity is they they want to understand the investment as much as possible. They are huge data gatherers and processing data. Like we've gotten to the point where I'm sure they know the answers before they get on the call with you because they've taken all
Yeah.
the data and said, "Oh, yeah, we know where it's going to end up." But setting the company up that way in the beginning, as opposed to trying to like back into that down the road, that gives you the ability, I think, to scale faster. And I think all of us are kind of in that world of trying to, are we providing enough information? Are we
Mm.
providing the right information? These KPIs. Saturday Night Live used to do this skit where it was like the Chiron. So it's like they're interviewing someone, but they keep adding graphics to the screen to the point
Yeah.
where like you can't even see the person being interviewed.
Yeah.
That's probably what it evolves to. Like we do, I was looking the other day, we do weekly metrics, and I was looking at the original one, that had like 10 things. And
Oh,
now we're
yeah.
measuring like 50 things. So it's a busy, but again, that's the evolution of the business. In probably, I think 3 or 4 years ago, it was how much can you build?
Yeah.
The next question is how much can you monetize? Can you
Right.
turn can you turn the fiber into gold? How do you do that? Because that's how I think the companies will be measured going forward. That's where the next investments will come from. Yeah, people can buy passings. I mean, candidly, you and I could probably go out and build some fiber this afternoon. It wouldn't be awesome, but we can make it happen. But
Yeah.
selling it, monetizing it, having
Right.
that customer experience, keeping customers,
Right.
running a full integrated business, that's where the investment will follow in the next few years. So hopefully we're in that.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
very cool perspective. Steve, this has been such an awesome conversation. I'm not normally a quiet person, but listening
Oh,
to you,
oh
I
geez. Well,
am
I'm sorry.
I'm very I'm just you have so much insight, and so I have
Well,
just
thank you.
been so
Made
invested
a
in
lot of
everything you're
mistakes,
saying.
Abby. Thank you.
Sorry.
So I said I made a lot of mistakes, so try to learn from them. It happens.
That's part of it. Hey, that's
It
part
is.
of it. That's
It
okay.
is.
Steve, is there anything that you want to leave our viewers with before we sign off? Any last comments or
I
insight?
tell I just tell people, follow our story. We're on all the we're on the line, as I like to say. We're on the gram and the TikTok and all that stuff. Follow us, give us feedback. We really enjoy that, and we, follow our journey because we're not done. It's going to be exciting. So yeah,
Awesome.
liveoakfiber.com.
I will link all of your stuff down below so that it's easy for them to access.
Awesome.
And thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah.
And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to Field Notes, the infrastructure podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow along for more conversations with the leaders building the infrastructure powering our connected world. That's it from the field. Stay grounded.